Just a good catch from Umar Gul in the end. A sixth wicket for Abdurrahman. It was the end of a remarkable collapse, 5 wickets falling for just 4 runs in the space of only 11 balls. And look at the well-deserved joy on the faces of all those Pakistani players. It's been a fabulous result for them. Again speaking to Michael Atherton.
Andrew, how do you reflect on a performance like that?
Look, I'm bitterly disappointed. I know the rest of the guys in the dressing room are, because you know, the games that hurt most are the ones that you think you should have won, and this is certainly one of those. We'd worked very hard to get ourselves in position to win the game, but ultimately we weren't able to get over the line. And I'm sure as individual batsmen we all have our regrets, but ultimately, you know, you've got to hold your hand up and say that Pakistan, we should have been better, but that's life. You know, we've had a lot of great wins over the last couple of years. You got to take a defeat on the chin.
What were the order of the problems there in that 4th innings? The pitch, Pakistan spinners, or England batsmen's inability to cope with pressure?
Well, I think it's always a combination of everything. You know, I think credit to the Pakistani spinners. They don't bowl a lot of loose deliveries. So you've got to earn the right to score runs against them. I think, you know, Alistair Cook and Jonathan Trott showed in the first innings that actually if you just get in against them, then you can tick along quite nicely. But this wicket in particular, it's not been one where batsmen have been able to dominate the spin bowlers, really. So, you know, we had to soak up a bit of pressure, but then unfortunately we weren't able to come out the other side. As soon as we did that, you know, every time we soaked up a bit of pressure, we lost a wicket. And, you know, it's frustrating. You know, I think we'll look back on it probably with regrets and think, well, maybe we should have done it differently. But ultimately, you only get one chance of these things, and we weren't able to take it.
When you say done it differently, looking back, do you think you could have been a little bit more positive?
Yeah, maybe. Look, I think each batsman's got to look at his options individually and say, what is my game plan and where are my strengths and weaknesses? And maybe some of our more attacking players were got out early rather than were able to get through it. But yeah, I think whenever you lose in that fashion, you always kind of think, well, could we have been more positive? It's a natural reaction to take. Ultimately, it's ifs and buts and doesn't really make much of a difference right now.
Does it concern you how many of your top order players seem to be out of nick or at least short of runs?
Well, look, you know, if you rolled over in 3 out of the 4 innings on a tour, there are some questions there, and as I said, individually, I think we're all a little bit disappointed with what we've shown so far. But ultimately, you know, what can we do? We've got one more game of Test cricket. I know there's a lot of pride in the England side. I know that we all believe we're better than what we've shown in this series. But as I said, over the last couple of years, we've been on the winning side. You've got to accept that sometimes someone's going to play better than you.
Monty Panesar in this game showed the value of change, of bringing somebody in. Is that a possibility now? I know the Dubai game is a few days away and you'll have plenty to reflect on, but will you consider changes?
Well, I don't think you should rule it out, definitely. You know, as you rightly said, now's probably not the time to think about that. We're sort of just taking in what's happened, and we'll do that for the next day or two, and then we're going to have to turn things around and come back strong in Dubai.
I wanted to chat to you about the DRS, because clearly with the way that Saeed Ajmal has been bowling and Abdul Rahman, it's become an issue now that 20 out of 24 decisions, I think, were given LBW or bowled up to the 4th innings. Bowlers bowling straight, it's tough.
Yeah, well, I think it's changed the dynamic of the game to a certain extent. You know, in the old days, you could use your pad and bat together. You just can't do that now. But, you know, I think it's the same for both sides. And that's helped our spinners a huge amount as well. So it just adds a different thing. You know, I think you feel very wary about playing across the line, certainly. And whether I think it's a good thing for the game of cricket. You know, it brings spinners in more. Ultimately, you know, I thought this was a great Test match and a great Test match wicket because it kept everyone interested. And you know, if you look at the bigger picture, which is probably pretty hard for us to do right at the moment. You know, it's good for the game of Test cricket when things are happening and both bowlers and batsmen are in the game.
Certainly be hard to leave Monty Panesar out now.
Yeah, well, you know, I think he just showed his qualities. You know, he's always been a top quality bowler, and you know what you're going to get out of him. He's going to bowl 99% of the balls in the right area, and when there's a bit of turn and a bit there for him, he can really exploit that. So it was fantastic to have him back, and great to see his enthusiasm again. He's had a long time out of the side, and I know he's delighted to be back in it.
It shows the value of keeping faith with somebody, actually, because once Graham Swann came in, it would have been easy to discard Monty and look at another young spinner, but you showed faith in him.
I still think that the philosophy is you pick your best two spinners on a tour, and someone's going to have to do a pretty good job to usurp those two at the moment. I think they're two world-class spinners, and they both showed it in this game.
Lots of hard work then before Dubai.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I said, you got to take it on the chin. You got to stand up. Got to turn things around, and as I said before, show that we're better than what we've shown so far.
Thanks for your time.
Yes, thank you.
Well, we'll echo that. And a proper point you made about Monty Panesar there. I mean, Monty's been a couple of years out of the side. He's enjoyed the change of circumstances.
I can imagine myself, and I can imagine Andy Flower on the other end. Difficult match for the coaches and for the working staff behind the team. But a wonderful test match, I would say. I'm not saying this because we finished up on the winning side, but I'm saying as far as the game is concerned, it was a well-contested game, and we are very lucky that we finished up on the winning side, even though this morning things were totally in favour of England. But all credit goes to the almighty Allah, and after that to the players, how well they played.
You must have been worried with a first innings deficit of 70, and then only having 140 odd to play with. Did you really imagine that was enough?
Mike, in the morning we didn't. We were very disappointed, and we were just hoping that two of our young players, Azhar Ali and Asad Shafiq, could take up the score to a lead of about 200, 225, 30. But we finished up much earlier than that. But still we thought anything above, and I don't think I'm bragging, but honestly I have a lot of belief in these players of mine. And when we went out with a target of 146, was it? Yeah. And I said to my boys, look, if we play proper and disciplined cricket, we can get them in 100. So it was just to give a morale booster to the boys. I know England is a very strong team, number one team in the world today. To win against them is not a joke. And I'm so happy to see the boys did it. And I take it as a lot of credit to win against such a wonderful team like England.
You said you wanted your team to be very disciplined, and they were with the ball today. Do you think England slightly played into your hands with the way that they batted, or the cautious way that they approached the target?
I think that's a wonderful question, Mike. I think they went a little bit on the defence. If they could have combined the defence with the attack. Now, I'm not suggesting what they should have done. They're all professionals. They've got a wonderful coach. They have wonderful players. But I think that did really, I felt it at times, that they totally went on the defence. That could have troubled them more.
You mentioned two of your younger players, Asad Shafiq and Azhar Ali. Must be a wonderful boost for a coach to see young players like that coming through. They showed great temperament.
Well, let me say one more thing. I was the one who selected them, because a year and a half back when I became the chairman of selection committee, we picked up these two youngsters. We felt that they are very talented. They can go way ahead. And all the credit goes to the boys also, because they are playing so well under tough conditions. People were saying that performing against Sri Lanka or Bangladesh, okay, nothing big, okay, agreed. But performing against England, and I always rate England very highly, because England, they play professional cricket, whether they are number one or not. But they always play professional cricket. And to perform against England, whether you're bowling or batting, is always creditable.
Now, your CV as Pakistan coach is looking more and more impressive. Surely you want a full-time job, don't you?
Mike, let me put it like this, very straight. What Mohsin Khan today is because of Pakistan and Pakistan cricket. My services are always there for my country, but I don't want anybody to take me for granted. That's all I want to say.
Well said. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
That might just be a coded message of some sort. He can certainly be very proud of what his team's done today. I mean, what I like about him too, every time he's spoken to going down to Sussex,